Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Levi Blue Show, where we talk about life, overcoming daily struggles, and everything in between. I am your host, Levi Blue. Tank, how's it going?
It's going.
I was going to give you a grand entrance again, but last time you didn't like the one I gave you.
You can give me whatever you want, brother.
It was the man, the myth, the legend. You remember that?
Yeah, I'm still working on that, I guess.
Still working on the legend part?
Yeah.
But you are the man?
I am a man.
A man.
I am a man.
Man. Oh. And then we have our brother Andrew decided to stop in today. How you doing, brother?
Oh, living the dream.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
Nice haircut.
Thank you.
He looks a little different. Well, he wore a hat
I'm
last
a burn
time.
victim.
He's a burn victim. Him and a hot water heater got into a fight. Hot water heater won.
Hey, I was going to say, who won?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Then we have the other guy, Johnny P, Johnny Paycheck, Johnny Price. What's up, brother?
No, nothing.
I can't even see your face.
Well, good.
Oh, you know why we can't see your face? I got it. Hold on.
Because we ain't got that light on.
All right. Yep. That's why we can't see your face.
Oh, turn it back off. Turn it back off.
Golly, no. Black the screen.
Oh, there it goes. All right, we can see your technical difficulties, everybody. All right, well, welcome everybody to the Levi Blue Show, where we talk about life, overcoming daily struggles, and everything in between. I am your host, Levi Blue. So today we're going to talk about, I think, something that is very important with our walk with God, but it's something that Steve and I talked about probably like episode 4, I think it was. So, but I have a quick question for you. What is the hardest thing you've ever had to do? Anybody want to go first? Johnny, what's the hardest thing you've ever had to do?
Why you pick me first, bud?
Because I just felt like picking you first.
Man.
That's a good one.
I went through some hard stuff, bud. That's quite the Rolodex to go through.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why you say that?
I mean, I've been through it in life, and I've had to make some tough decisions. I've been forced to do some tough things. That's a lot. Man.
Yeah.
The hardest thing I ever had to do, I'll tell you right now, it hit me. I had to go into a room and say goodbye to my mom, who wasn't coherent, and wait for her to take her last breath. That's probably the hardest thing I ever had to do.
That one does sound pretty tough. Yeah, I was going to say my brother was probably one of the hardest things I ever had to do. And actually, all of us had our hands on his chest. There's a picture I'll show you guys after the show that we actually felt his last breath. And I remember telling my mom, I said, when he passes, I'm going to do his services. And so I did his services. And one of my older brothers was like, "You're doing a great job." And I'm going to just boo-hoo. And, but yeah, that's definitely a hard thing when your loved ones are.
She waited. They told us when they took her off that ventilator, because we had to make that decision, that she wouldn't last very long. She kicked for 8 hours, waited till every one of us and my last cousin walked into the room to take her last breath.
I can relate.
So you want to go ahead and share with us?
Well, I would say my dad's passing August of last year. However, the hardest thing I had to do was get clean. Because that was a battle that the darkness always wanted, But the hardest thing for me was getting clean, which made coping, getting through my father's passing, made it attainable and not so hard. It wasn't easy by any means, and I was driving down to Texas Monday, and there's a song that comes on. It's "Story of an Addict" by Joe Nestor, and every time I hear it, I tell my wife, I was like, this song makes me think of my dad, because if you listen to the words, and if you ever, if you want to know more, hit me up outside of this, but it really makes me think about my dad, and I don't know. I'm about to cry now, so
no,
I'm
that's
stop.
good.
But
It's a great song.
yeah, but getting clean was the hardest thing for me, but it was also the best thing, because it allowed me to be able to go through my feelings and not get wrapped up in them and act out.
I thank God every day that my mom never lived to see me in my addiction, because I didn't start until after she was gone,
And I made my dad proud by the man I became before he passed. So yeah, I totally get it.
Praise God. Andrew, what would you say the hardest thing you've ever had to overcome or had to go through?
I'm glad I thought about something else, because I'm really close with Tank, so a lot of our thoughts and are going to be pretty close. But like for me, like getting clean was hard, but finding myself was the hardest. Because I got clean, that was great, but like being clean and miserable was not the life I wanted to live. So it was finding myself,
That's a good answer.
through addiction and all that. So
Yeah.
that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do,
No, I think we all have good answers there but I like how he went a different route with it. As Johnny was talking, I was thinking, man, we went heavy already. It ain't been 3 minutes into the show or 4 or 5 minutes into the show, but
Well, you didn't think that was going to be a lot.
I did. That's a loaded one right there for sure. So let's just jump right into our favorite part of the show. You guys ready for this? Let's see if we can find my thing. There. Nope. Go back. Here we go.
Fun facts of the day.
And useless information.
Oh, it didn't even do it. Go back. It shut it off. Technical difficulties, everybody.
Fun facts of the day.
And useless information.
All right. Are you guys ready for this?
Yes.
Trending. Okay. If the Earth doubled in size, trees would immediately fall over. This is because surface gravity would be doubled. It would also mean dog size and larger animals would not be able to run without breaking a leg.
Interesting. You want to think about that one?
I thought it was cool.
That was cool. Interesting. I like stuff.
Why do you look like you got a fart?
Because I do. That was different.
Yeah, that was a loaded one.
That was different.
Yeah. You got one?
I got a couple. They're funny.
Okay.
They're good, but they're funny. So I'm going to go biblical on it. Did you know that James 1:19 really tells us that it tells us to get all our facts before jumping to conclusions?
Boom. Mic drop right there.
Let me know when you want my other one.
Let's hear the other one.
Most of y'all may not know this, but Jesus' last name really wasn't Christ. That's my funny one, man. Come on.
All right. Let me just go ahead and. All right.
Like I did know that though. I didn't.
So, according to available data, most people develop a relationship with God during their childhood, typically between the ages of 4 to 14, and many Christian denominations focus in on early religious education and acceptance of Christ during the most formative years. Would you guys agree with that? That 4 to 14. Did you grow up in church?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Did you grow up in church?
Yeah.
What about you?
I went to church as a child. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad we all went to church because it kind of goes along with our topic today. I'll bring that up later. But another fun fact that I found this is while childhood is considered the most common time for establishing a relationship with God, significant conversion experiences can happen at any age, and some adults finding their faith later in life. I think with us, since we all went to church, is that we were kind of like the prodigal son. Does that make sense? Like we already knew who God was, but we weren't living our life for God. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense because I actually had a conversation about the prodigal son today, and then in my head that took me to where I was going with this topic today.
That's good. Okay. All right. We'll save that for the topic. So, did you have a thought for that? You were looking.
So, it's I mean, because I can go back and think about how, I'd get up every morning to get on the church bus to go to First Baptist Church, Wagner, Oklahoma, and didn't really know what I was doing because it wasn't so much in my household. It was more me going with my friends,
Same here.
So it's like I had an understanding of the God concept, if you will.
Yes.
But really no implementation. And even as a teenager, like through that 4 to 14-year-old, I even went on missions trips to Mexico. Man, we rebuilt a barn, made a gymnasium inside the barn, planted flower beds and made concrete flower beds for them, and literally brick and mortar these flower beds, packed them full of dirt, planted flowers, yada, yada, all that. But I was still missing the whole, like, the trueness of it.
Okay.
It's like it was, I don't want to say it was for show, but really like it was for show or it was for something to do.
Yeah,
However, the concept was started, the understanding of God, Jesus coming, to die for my sins and all that. That was there.
You just didn't have no relationship.
No relationship, no implementation for a relationship to truly form.
That's correct. Yeah.
So-
I had 15 cousins, and we all went to church, but the only example of a Christian person that we had in our life was when we were in the big people service instead of, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only.
Well, it becomes something you do instead of someone who you are.
Well, it becomes more of a, it's something to do on Sundays and Wednesdays and a week out of the it's like our summer vacation.
Yeah, and the first Monday every month we get to go skating and they pay for it. So
exactly. Yeah, and it's all for, it's fleshly reasons. I mean, really.
I like how you mentioned that, because it's funny to think about it, and I used to think that none of that had any meaning, right? Because I wasn't devoted. For me, it was to get out and meet the ladies, or whatever it was. But we had Silver Creek Baptist Church out in Olive, that they would pick us up on the school bus. Everybody lived 30 minutes away from each other, come on the church bus, and it had nothing to do but hang out with friends. That's what my idea of that was. But I remember, this is one thing I'll remember, and I always will, is from church at a young age, is the Bible is a sword to defeat the enemy.
That's right.
And that's something I've retained since. So it's like, even though I never really paid attention, there's a lot of things that like today are kind of,
they make sense now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's funny that you say that, because there's always something that we kind of grab from what we remember. I have a tattoo on my arm over here, and it says frog, fully rely on God. I remember being in 5th grade, 4th or 5th grade, and that's what I remember. So you remember, obviously, it being the sword, but it probably didn't connect in your brain as a little boy. But as a grown man, it hits different. You know what I mean? So
that's exactly what it is, man. It's so many times that there's things that we didn't pick up because we weren't really devoted to focus on that. But somewhere we retained it somewhere in here, and then the minute that our focus is that direction, it's like, right. Oh my gosh! I remember back in 1986 when I was sitting in this church and the pastor said, "Hey, the Bible is your sword. That's how you defeat the enemy.
That's when I was
born. That's how you defeat the darkness." Okay, so you weren't in church at 1986.
No,
whatever. I was way older. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, you were.
But yeah, it's cool how that remembrance comes back though, and it's like, yeah, seeds were being planted the whole time, even though I didn't see them. And then the relationship forms for some of us, most of us in our adult years. But it don't matter when; it matters that it happens.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No matter when it happens, it matters that it happens. Period.
That's it. All right. Well, I see we're going to get real deep today, so that has been our
fun facts of the day and useless information.
Woo woo.
All right. So today, I think our audience is in for a treat. Let me go ahead and pull this slide up here. So let me ask you, Tank. When I first brought up about this question, because we've already kind of done this before. But I kind of wanted to really look at it from a universal perspective, if that makes sense. And I did that the wrong way.
It's okay to work.
Yeah. So when does God become real in someone's life to what you think?
Windows.
It's all right. Just work with it.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. When does God become real in someone's life?
Just run with it. All right.
So, of course, I'm call me selfish if you want, but when you first brought it up to me, I first started thinking about me. Right. I mean, let's just be real. And I was sitting there going, well, I remember when he truly, when I can say I know he became real, and that was that tear in that cop car when I felt the peace I'd never felt before. I'm like, all right, that's God. I know that is. Sitting in the courtroom. And the judge showed me favor, and somebody is playing music.
It's
really loudly.
Hey, go tell him to go turn it down.
But when did he become real? On December 13th, 2012.
Podcast.
So at the same time, how many times have I seen him get real? So many that I can't count, because I've had God awakenings time after time after time. I probably have more that will probably come to light once I, once I catch up with myself, if you will.
Yeah.
But had I never turned towards him and started seeking his face, I probably would miss all those God moments as well.
So here's what, and I talked about this a little bit. It's like seeing this from a universal perspective. Obviously we're all going to connect to it personally, so that it's kind of hard. I can't go, you'll connect with God when this happens. You know what I mean? So, or he'll connect with God when that happens. But we can't do that because everyone's life is different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No. And if that was the case, then we'd all be robots.
Exactly.
And we all would walk the same way, probably wear the same thing, and work at the same place. Be like that movie In Time. Where like Justin Timberlake and everybody worked at that same factory.
Oh yeah.
And they all lived within that one, whatever it was, section or station or zone or whatever. Yeah, that would be us. We'd all walk to work the same day, same way, leave work at the same time, walk back home to our ghetto apartments, and yada yada. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me
thank God for that, though, that we don't.
So let's just look at the question. This is the first statement that I was talking to my wife last night, and I said, "When does God become real to someone?" And first thing she said was, "When life gets hard." And I put a question mark up there. Here's my answer. Yes and no, because bad things happen every day, but there has to come a time in a person's life where there's a breaking point. It's different for each person when and how God becomes real to them. You know what I mean?
That's the thing, is that it don't always have to be a bad moment.
Exactly.
It could be a joyful moment.
Oh, yeah.
It could be just a somber moment where you're sitting there and then all of a sudden the light bulb clicks. Maybe it's the goosebumps, or maybe it's that peaceful feeling. I mean, I wasn't sad about when I was getting arrested.
Yeah.
Here we go again, man. I'm used to this. Why did I put myself in? And all of a sudden it's just like, take me in, I'm done. Yes, it was a negative situation, sure.
Sure.
I got to the point where, like, can I do the siren?
but I mean, it wasn't. It was, yes, you could say it was bad circumstances, but I was used to it. It wasn't like it was something new.
Yeah.
I've already been to prison. I've already that's old news. I've been in handcuffs. I had my own set of bracelets. I'm pretty sure they have my name etched in them. But yeah, there's so many different variations when it comes to that. Yes, when things are bad. Hopefully, when things are good too. A lot of us have to wait for that bad stuff to happen, though, before we turn to him.
Yeah, my uncle said that, and I'll let Johnny finish after that. My uncle said that when he was 6 years old, we grew up in a Pentecostal family. He said he was 6 years old. He just looked up and he knew there was a God. There was that moment that presence. I've watched my uncle read scripture and just get those God bumps. That's how I know that he's close to God. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So I do agree with that. It doesn't always have to be a bad moment. I just gave my answer that way because people always think, something bad has to happen it's that jailhouse gospel.
Well,
or he found Jesus. I didn't find Jesus. I wasn't looking for him. You know what I'm saying?
He touched you when you were sitting in a spot where you didn't really want to be in the first place.
Exactly.
Wasn't necessarily a bad place, but it wasn't necessarily a good place.
Well, in a good place, I can tell you that.
Yeah. But
any nightclub isn't a good place, so
yeah.
Just saying. So.
Hey, somebody else talk. I'm tired of talking.
Johnny, let me ask you this, and you and I talked a little bit about it. When did God become real to you? And actually, we've never really heard your perspective on this, but also if you can think about when does God become real just for a person in general? Obviously, you're going to use your own perspective, if you will. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, because I'm right where Tank was whenever I got it. And I'm like, all I could think of is when it hit me. I grew up going to church, hanging out, and all that. At one point, I was even asked to be a youth minister, and then my mom passed away right after that. And I had.
How old were you when your mom passed away?
I was 22.
Oh, okay. So, and then your addiction started right after that.
No, my addiction started 10 years later.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, when were you in the service?
And through it 22 to like 26.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but what was that? So your mom passing kind of was the tipping point for God to become real, or no?
No. I mean, so I knew God. I mean, I knew of him and everything like that. And I went to church, and like I said, I knew enough of the word that the church I grew up in had asked me to become their youth pastor and everything like that, but it wasn't real to me at that point. It was still just going through the motions and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Now, after I got in my addiction, and that's what I was talking about the prodigal son, because yeah, you can realize God through blessings, and you can realize God just out of nowhere, but I'm pretty sure 97% of the time, you have to reach a realization, and that realization usually comes from a breaking point. And I had been in my addiction, and I had done everything I could, and I couldn't get nowhere. And I just got to the point where I just beating my head against the wall. And I got out of jail at one time, and I got so messed up. It's kind of like I was in the spirit realm, you know. And I'm walking around here, and I'm thinking these people are trying to kill me. I think this person's trying to send me to prison, and I'm just waiting for the cops. I'm sitting out in front of a store yelling, "Come on, just come on, man! I don't want to wait no more. Like, they're taking me to prison. I'm going straight. I'm not even going to county. I'm going straight to prison. They're going to drive me at this point." And I was. It was so heavy that my mind wanted to explode between worried about being killed, worried about going to prison. This person's watching me. That person's about to stab me, you know. And none of it was real. None of that was real. So I start walking, and I had remembered I was actually the first time I was headed to this church. And I get under this bridge over 31st and Memorial. Everybody that I had encountered out there in the world, that through my time in addiction and all the bad seeds and all the people that were there throughout, I started seeing them drive by in cars. None of these people had cars. We were all addicts, homeless, you know. But it was like them, but it wasn't them. So to me, in my mind, I'm like, everybody I've cared about and everybody I've met, I'm watching all these people die to me because they're not them anymore. They're somebody else. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, please don't take this person. Then I see them. Like, please don't let me see this person. I hope they're okay. No, then I see them, and that they were driving off to be gone forever. And I hit my knees right there under that bridge, throwing a big old fit, and I said, God, if you get me through this, and you get me somewhere, then I'll know you're real. And next thing you know, I end up at this church in this program.
I think the answer to this question is, and he just answered it, is when we call on God.
That's the real answer.
Yeah,
right
that's when God becomes real. What is it, Jeremiah 33:3 or something like that? It's like, call upon me and I will show you great and mighty things which you know not.
Which you know not.
Yeah. So, but you have to call on him in order, and that's what he did. That's what you did. That's what I did. That's what I'm sure Andrew did, the same things. Andrew, and you shared a little bit when you were on the show the first time, but can you just kind of share a little bit for those who are maybe listening for the first time? When did God really just kind of come real to you?
You know, I'd love to say that it was, you know, on my way to prison or I mean, I knew God was real when they were showing me favor, getting me into drug court. You know, when I was told that I need to go to 90 meetings in 90 days, like I felt a sense of relief. Like I felt this peace that was so overwhelming. Like I knew that was God. But like really the past 6 months is like when I really realized God's real. Because for the past years I've been in a program and to me, it was a spiritual being to everybody else. Like it wasn't what we believe here, right? So it's like the past 6 months is when I've really like put my foot down and started diving into like it's Jesus Christ, it's God, you know, like these things and just understanding him better. Like I was applying it in my life already, didn't really realize it. I was just wanting to call it something different. I was kind of, I guess, confused more or less. But I'd say just recently, man, like for me, that's when I've really started to like change. Like I've changed a lot, but you know, I've really started to change more the past 6 months.
No, that's good. I think he answered it too. I have another scripture: "Seek and you will find."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. The more you seek him, the more you find him.
Yeah, and it's funny because you know I knew he was real from that tear, you know, and then of course I get out of jail 2 mornings later, and where do I end up? At Church on the Move with my dad, and Willie George was sitting there pointing to me, telling me everything I needed to hear. Another moment when God is showing himself to me. Obviously, I was seeking him because I was open-minded to go with my dad to church, you know, and time again, you know, when did he become real? In that tear. When did he become real? Numerous times since then. Why? Because I know the four of us do our best to seek him daily. So he becomes more real and he reveals more to us every time. That's the deal, man. Like he became real to me on that tier in that cop car. But he has become more real every day that I seek a little more of his face and not just his hands, as we hear Pastor talk about.
Well, once you get into it and you're accepting and you're receiving, you can look back
and see where God
and
was
you
working.
can see where God was revealing Himself.
That's
You
right.
just didn't want to see it.
We weren't ready.
Like that story in my testimony, Levi, that when that man was praying and everything like that, I can look back now knowing that was God telling me, you're about to mess up. You're not going to be able to come back from it. You need to stop.
Yep, I get it.
No, that's good.
There was one point whenever I got denied drug court because they said, you're a drug dealer, not a drug user. Drug court's for drug users. I looked over at my mom and I looked at the girl that I was, whatever she was, my home girl. I don't even know what to call it. And I said, well, that's cool, but they're going to have to come find me because I had plans on going to a different state, already had the connections. And then God said, you need to go visit your dad. And so I went down to my dad's, stayed the night, got up, came back to church the next day, and I sat down. Said, okay.
God
Why?
set you down there. Yeah.
I sat down because he said, no, you ain't going nowhere. I had every intention. I had already made the phone calls and had the connections. And I was gone.
It's amazing what sitting down will do for you, because I had, on my journey, I had so many people always telling me, Johnny, you're going to sit down, sit still. Because I was always going, just always walk. And then as soon as I finally did, then I started hearing God. As it was after that day under the bridge, I sat down in front of a Quick Trip. I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait right here till you tell me what to do. And then somebody would walk up to me, hey, have you ever heard of this place called Wings of Freedom? I'm like, I've been trying to get there. No, you know, and then it's just like, and so many people would do the same thing. They bring me a piece of pizza. And this girl says, well, have you heard of Pastor Dixie Pebsworth? I said, I don't know her, but I'm trying to find her.
Whoa.
I'll move right along with that one. All right.
Well, at that point, I'd never seen the man. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
Oh,
That's not the first time he's heard that. I want to read this quote real quick, and then we'll get to these slides so we can take our break. And I think that this perspective here, this quote I'm about to read, is kind of double perspective. It says, we are cruel to ourselves if we try to live in this world without knowing about the God whose world it is and who runs it. You know, I think about, even as us believers, if we just choose every day not to really seek God, then we're really kind of wasting our time. You know, those who don't know Jesus, you know, they're kind of wasting their life away. I heard there's a friend of mine, she did a poem one time. It was called Homeless. And she said people who don't know Jesus are homeless. Because technically our home is not here, it's in heaven.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And
That's right.
So when I read that, I just think about, we really cheat ourselves by not getting into the Word every day. And I don't get into the Word every day, but at the same time, I make sure I read my devotion every day. Does that make sense?
Praise God.
Yep.
And so, you know, when I say the Word, I'm talking about like literally open up the Bible and just spending some time reading. But I always have a devotion I read. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do
So
two of them every day.
I try to find some time to actually read. So yeah, that's kind of what I get from that. It's if we're not spending time with God, then really we're just kind of cheating ourselves. You know what I mean? So. Just for time, I'm going to go and just go through these real quick. Something has to get our attention. We've all been kind of talking about that in order for us to make a surrender unto God, because that word right there is really what we do. We surrender. I think there may be an advantage point for someone who was raised in church and gave their heart to God at a young age. Here's my example. Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go, so when he's old, he will not depart from it. So that's what I meant by earlier, is that we're all prodigal sons and daughters. So when we give our hearts to God, and then all of a sudden when we are in the pig pen, and when God gave it, our Father gave us all of our fortune, we done spent it all, and then all of a sudden we're like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. You know what I mean? I remember, like I've shared the story 100 times, I remember being in that nightclub, they were playing our music, and I heard a soft voice say, I'm sitting on this bar stool, and I heard a voice say, you're not supposed to be here. I was like, and I don't know if you've ever been in a nightclub, it's loud.
Oh, yeah.
Super loud.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, you tripping? No, I'm not tripping. You know, and then, you know, that was like 2008, 2009, and my conversion back to God was in 2012. So imagine this, you know, you just kind of go harder, if you will. You know what I mean? So
It's funny because God gives us free will, and that free will is what causes a lot of us to never have that moment where God is real. Why? Because we want to contradict, or we want to pick pick apart how, well, if he's so real and loving, then why this, why that? How come they're homeless people? Because he gave every one of us free will.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, but it's funny that what you were just saying, and the deal is that I can go through and play the blame game forever based off my free will, and if I'd have kept doing that, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Oh, yeah.
I probably would be one of those homeless. I probably would be underneath the 31st Memorial Bridge next to the car lot.
Yeah.
In the hotels.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my spot over there at the hotels. Like, I used to sleep out beside the Super 8 when I wasn't in a room, you know, like.
I
Yeah.
firmly believe that he gives us all a sign.
Oh, yeah.
It's whether we choose to see it or not.
And that's it right there.
You know,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
whether we choose to see it or not. And that I'm so grateful that I did and that I was able to surrender to him because, man, I was in another program at one point in time too, but God was God. I started that before I started going to that program, and that was my biggest hurt or hang up was how people responded or spoke there. It was conflicting me, man. It's like I was starting to feel conviction, but I was afraid. So I was running on fear and wouldn't leave that place.
Yeah, I've never been to a single meeting outside of Celebrate Recovery. Like, everybody's like, you want to go? I'm like, no, I heard they're a little bit more gangster than I want to be anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you start swapping more stories and you want to
Yeah.
go out and have a battle, and it's not good. You know what I mean? I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna table this because I want to get to the other thing that we're gonna do. We're gonna do a part 2 to this because I still have more stuff that I want to unfold, but we're on a time constraint. So we're gonna do a part. I guess it'd be a part 3 technically. Steven and I talked about this. Like,
I'm going to bring some heat then, bud.
oh yeah,
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So we got we still got some more work to do. So we're gonna take a break, and then when we come back, I got a special game for these guys. Yeah. So we'll be right back.
I don't like the way he's laughing. Hey everybody, this is Johnny Price with the Levi Blue Show. Just make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you like what you're seeing. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, welcome everybody. Welcome back. Did you guys have a good break? It was like
I didn't leave this spot.
I didn't leave either.
yeah.
He went to the restroom.
Why you gotta tell about people's movements?
My business.
Golly.
Why are you telling Reggie about my business? All right, so we're gonna play this game called Take 3 or Keep 3, Take 1 Away. Are you guys ready for this?
I don't reckon.
All right, so I'll read them and then you just tell me which one you're taking. Just focus on the takeaway. Don't keep the 3. Just take away. Here we go. Number 1. Okay, there it goes. Well, maybe not.
The black lettering.
Okay, all right, here we
there we
go. Candles that smell like feet. Only wear one color of clothing. Eat the same thing every day, or the only sound you hear all day is a ball bouncing. Which one are you taking away?
Candles that smell like feet.
4.
4, the ball bouncing?
Yep.
I knew that'd get on everyone's nerves because I was thinking of a basketball.
If it's not a balloon or styrofoam, I can handle any noise.
Yeah.
I can handle smelly feet because I had them growing up forever.
I still got them. I don't care. I just don't.
All right, let's go to the next one here. Walk around barefoot for 1 week. Be the president of the United States. Hang out with your enemy for 2 hours. Go on vacation, but it's a disaster. Which one are you taking away?
Number 2.
Be the president?
Yeah, I'll pass.
What do you think, Johnny?
3.
3? What do you think?
4.
4?
Me hanging out with enemies is not good because that makes me go back to my old ways. I don't like it.
I'm going to say barefoot. Get rid of
What?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I ran around barefoot for about the 15 years. living down
32
the way.
years of my life.
Oh, no. I got socks on all day
I
long.
got my first pair of shoes last week, bud.
Hey, we used to race on the hot asphalt, and I could run better without my shoes on.
Oh, no.
I was faster.
Same.
Yeah.
I was like Nelly in The Longest Yard. Boy, I could run down.
Did you get them out of a cake, too, when you finally got your shoes?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one here. Travel the world with your neighbor. Play quarterback on the worst team. See your best friend every day, but you can't talk to them, or change one thing about the past. Which one are you taking away?
3.
3.
See your best friend every day, but you can't talk to him. Yeah, that'd be a hard one.
2.
He says play quarterback for the worst team. Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah, probably 2 as well.
I like my peace. I'm quiet.
Oh, that's it. I'm calling you like 17 times a day. Don't you be laughing.
You just got more in my real list. I'm just going to send them all to you.
Both of y'all.
I know I didn't know what to do with myself today. Be famous for something ridiculously dumb. Have a superpower that allows you to know what people think about you. Ride in the car with the worst singer ever for 6 hours. Live in a treehouse in the tropical rainforest. Imagine. Huh?
2. Get rid of 2. I don't want to know what none of y'all think about me.
That's a tough one, huh?
1.
I'm going to say 1. I don't want to be famous for something ridiculously dumb.
I mean, I'm okay.
At least you're
with-
famous.
I'm okay with that. I'm stuck between 2 and 3.
Well, once the 6 hours is over, it's over.
3.
But if you could always know
I don't
what
know
people
how.
think about you.
I don't know that I could last. I might start swinging out on
Jump out the
somebody.
window.
Yeah, or I might. Yeah, I am gonna stay 2 though.
Yeah, there's some really rude people in the
there
world.
is.
You know what they think about
and
you.
you're gonna hear voices like crazy about all the time. So yeah, maybe 2.
Even if their feelings aren't valid, to know what they think about you, because I know some people who would think some pretty.
Now, let's just be real here. If I was single, I might want that one.
No, you don't.
Right.
I
What
don't
if
know.
you're trying to be a millionaire?
What is that? What women want with Mel Gibson?
Exactly. That's exactly where my mind went. Was Mel Gibson utilized that to his advantage in numerous ways?
Right.
Well, but then it becomes boring anyway. You don't want. You can't. You gotta have no. You gotta. Nothing that you're gonna gain that is gonna be good for you. You have to work for it.
You
okay?
just walk by and she says he looks so good and you didn't hear it she didn't hear it and you go thank you. What's he talking about?
Yeah. So do you, girl.
Use it.
You are too.
Use it when I'm bidding jobs. I should have bid it $500 less. I would have got it.
That could be an advantage
Yeah.
point.
See. Yeah.
There's always an
Or
advantage
here,
point.
man, I hope he's at like 2,500, and you're thinking you're at 3,250, but now you know they're around the $2,500 range.
Right.
2,500
Or
bucks.
just knowing if they're going to
Deal.
pay me after the job's over.
Well,
That's true.
That's a whole nother
Well,
story.
that would be cool. That.
Yeah.
All right, well that was the end of our game. I wanted to kind of give you a little taste. We'll do a longer one next time. So
Well, I mean, just so y'all know, I picked number 2. I don't really want to know what people think about me.
Number 2.
I was kind of being funny about if I was single, but I am happily married to the most awesome woman ever made by God, in my mind.
She
to
might
me.
be great, but
she's awesome.
She's amazing. Which I'm like, great is like here.
I've spoke 3 words to her my entire life, so I don't know.
She might be great, but she's never let me drive her car.
And she won't.
All right,
You
well
don't know Jay Dizzle. You know what I'm saying? Just saying.
moving right along. All right, well, that has been our show today. Thank you, Andrew, for coming on the show again today. Hope you had a good time. Johnny P, thanks for being Johnny P. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this video, comment this video. Tell us what you think. People are actually commenting all the time. Like,
That's cool.
Like clockwork.
And really, hey, you don't even have to like it. Just subscribe.
Right.
Eventually, you will like it.
And share it with your friends because one of them might like it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Share it. One of the guys, Zadok, I gave him a card and he subscribed immediately.
Nice. That's
So that's
awesome.
cool. So I just got him a plug. There you go.
So when you see this, remember who talked about you.
Yes. So we need to, we'll hopefully get those plugs on here on the show in the next few weeks. So that'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty cool to have the
So-
HM up in here.
I know that's right. There'll be like 15 dudes standing behind me.
That's scary. I'm just
You
kidding.
just added too many of their numbers.
Well, is there that many of them? I don't think there's that many of them.
They're like,
There's a whole group. There's a whole gang of them.
There's enough.
we only get like 3 or 4 at a time. There's like 20. They have different branches going off at different
That's true.
areas.
That's true. Yeah.
But still, I'd just like to have 1 or 2 of them come in.
That would be great because
Share.
I know that they have testimonies
Well,
that are out of this world.
And that's it right there. You missed Sunday. Sunday Mercy. It was.
Yeah.
He brought me to tears.
I'd love
So-
to sit and talk to that guy for an hour.
I gave him a card too. So he said he'd be in touch. So
Awesome.
All right. Well, my name is Levi Blue. Welcome to Levi. Just we're glad you guys tuned in. Whatever time it is.
Glad you got to see me.
Yeah, I'm glad you got to see me today. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this video, comment this video. Until next time, Tank, tell them goodbye.
Goodbye and God bless you.